Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win with Dice team. I'm Calvin, and I'm joined here by Ramon.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. Podcast all about tabletop RPGs, running them, playing them. Calvin and I kind of talk about our games that we're, playing in and running, so you guys can see what it's like in other games and other sides of the screen. So it's you can distill some of that information to you guys and see that if you ever want to jump into this hobby and even give it a crack at DMing, it's not too bad on this side of the screen. We try to demystify things over here, but yeah, that's the show.
You can take a try at it and maybe become your friend's favorite DM.
Yeah, so sad. I think everybody, all the new DMs that we convinced our friends to finally do it. I think they're way better than me, and I'm getting really sad.
Nah, they just have different skills.
Very skillful, man.
Well, today we've got another Pathfinder recap we can chat with y'all about. We got back to the Kadfael Academy, so we can talk about some adventuring school shenanigans, us trying to save the school, and perhaps some mysteries that are coming with us. But first off, we got to get into the most important part of the show, the Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week.
Ah, yes, the Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week. Brought to you by, I guess, Ramon. I'm gonna steal this. It will be relevant to the recap, but our DM for Kadfael Academy, Rebecca, she's really good. I don't know, man. I think she was always born to be a DM. Just had to try it out. She's crushing it right now. But she got our party to she explicitly had a mentor NPC tell us not to do something, but our party ended up doing it, the complete opposite, right, of what that person advised. And turns out that's her plan all along. She literally reverse psychologied us. They're like, don't poke the bear, and we immediately poked the bear right after it.
This
so
bear right here?
that, yeah, right. I was so impressed, and throughout the whole entire thing, I thought that she was just kind of improvising, right? Oh, we're not supposed to be here or whatever, doing this thing. But no, it was all planned, and I was bamboozled. So sometimes because I've been DMing for a little bit, I kind of can see where things are going, right? But this time she totally just blindsided me with it, and I was thoroughly impressed. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have to lead your players to where you want to go with the carrot on the stick and be like, yeah, this is the right way you do it. But sometimes feel free to totally tell them not to do something, and they'll sometimes PCs, when you tell them yeah, you can't do that, they'll immediately go and try. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely it does maybe take some knowing the party, and it is sometimes easy to mess up. We did talk about last week how Matt Colville, he had this whole plan where he had one character get this vision of something terrible happening in a town, and he wanted the players to go through a dungeon to prevent it, but they were like, oh no, this terrible thing is happening right now, we gotta go there right now. So sometimes it doesn't work out, but yeah, and certainly in this case, I think Rebecca just knew how us and our characters would react to being told not to do this thing multiple times. Certainly I was like, yeah, we should definitely do this thing.
Yeah, right. So, but there'll be more context once we get into the recap. But yeah, man. So yeah, more power to anybody. Just try to tell your people, use reverse psychology on your players, especially if you have a player who's maybe catching on to what you're putting down, or a player who's oh shit, I rebel against all rules, that kind of person. You can use that kind of rebellious attitude to your advantage, and really trick the PCs into following your plot, which is always so funny when you get to trick the PCs into doing something.
Yeah. Very fun.
So yeah, that's your Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week. Brought to you by really Rebecca, because damn.
Well, let's get into talking about that game then. Of course, we are back in the Kadfael Adventuring Academy, where young students are preparing to become future adventurers, heroes of the realm, and whatnot. Sort of located within a couple different land masses and sort of in the midst of trade, on the edge of a major trade route, or the middle of it rather, is this academy. We have talked about this previously. Of course, if you want to check out the playlist or our website, you'll see our previous episodes where we've talked about this game and how we've had a ton of fun in it. We, of course, started off with a recap, going over all of our previous adventures, and a fun little animation in a slideshow that Rebecca made for the recap of this game.
Yeah, like the whole thing. It was awesome. Again, Rebecca pulling out all the stops with a PowerPoint presentation of like a recap, which was so awesome. I get jealous every time. I'm like, damn, I should probably do that, but also like, damn, like I don't have the energy to do that. That's just not my style. But yeah, no, it was fun because like we're playing teenagers, and it's kind of like like that a Disney show high school teenage vibe, right?
Yes.
Like teenage show vibe, right? So it's like it definitely felt like it was genre appropriate. It was kind of like the like last time on this show kind of deal with a little bit of cuts right before like the opening scene would roll or whatever, right? So
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
That's been like the whole vibe of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we had our fun little recap, including we helped find out who stole some cookies last session. We helped out the drama club deciding how to put on their performance of Hamlet. And then we stopped off in a garden in the school, and turns out there were some dangerous creatures lurking within that we were able to help dispatch. So we kind of picked up on the next day. We did discuss our dorm situation a bit. I did make notes on like who is roomed with which other student. And we do have, this is another thing I like about the game that I talked about before, like that list of characters and their faces of the other like students we're in the same year as. I mean, again, it just makes it easier to reference back to know like, oh, we're seeing this person again, and just knowing like a little bit about them helps make each session to session feel more consistent.
Yeah, and it helps with like feeling like we're a class, right? Like we're like on the same grade, and we would know these people, or we have a little bit of history with them. But like it's like a really nice reference because actually there's like 14 students excluding us, so like it's quite a bit, right? 15 students, yeah. So 15 students. That's a lot of NPCs to kind of keep track of as like a player. But the whole like having just like the picture and the name and like having it kind of match up of like their personality it's really helpful.
I don't know. I like having that cast in front of me. It's like seeing like a pictures in a student yearbook.
Yeah, it does have that feel. Yeah.
So yeah, we started off talking to Professor Gary, who is one of our professors who has sort of recruited us to help save the school, which has recently been losing much of its funding and could potentially shut down. Certain programs have already shut down, certain, I guess, like extracurricular stuff. One student mentioned wanting to start a poetry club, but she isn't able to, so we gotta save the school, man. So we sort of explained to him what went on with that creature, and then he said he had some suspicions on what it was, but he wanted us to go out and research what it actually was. And of course, my character, being the nerd, was super excited to do so.
Playing the nerd. Yeah. By the way, if you haven't caught our previous recaps, Calvin's playing the archetypical nerd. I can't even pronounce your name.
Artheon Valzarin, but everyone calls him Artie.
Yeah, RT. My character started calling him AT because like I can't say it. Like so, I'm playing the. I guess he's the rebel. He's like kind of like the rebel slash funny guy. He's like the troublemaker. I guess he's the troublemaker.
Spoil down the troublemaker.
Yeah, right. So his name is Grimes. My wife Abby, she's playing Scarlet, who is the goth, and then our friend Payne is playing Arbitrarius.
Yeah, Arbitrarius or Arby.
or Arby, who is playing a paladin.
Yeah, the paladin.
He's
hall monitor.
He's
the
sports guy, good guy, kind of archetype, kind of a paladin character. So which is really funny because he's definitely not, and the more that we play, the more like he breaks rules, which is really funny.
Yeah, we're all having strong influences on each other.
Yeah. Go ahead, Calvin.
So we were recapping to Professor Gary what happened. He wants us to go and do some research and make a report on the creature that we fought to sort of figure out what it is. So I was excited to go do that because we got to go to the library. But first, we had to go to class. The main class we focused on today was combat class, taught by Professor Axe Basher.
Yes. Who was a halfling fighter, I guess. And he has like a training ground kind of nicknamed after him called the Basher Dome?
The Basher Dome.
The Basher Dome.
So of course it had some other name before, but students kept calling it the Basher Dome, so that's kind of what it's called now. Like this small magical arena that can be transformed, made to look like different locations. So we were sort of placed into this arena, and it was made to look like a forest. And of course, there were some other students there. Rebecca actually rolled. I thought this was interesting. Just this side thing that she rolled a d20 to see what other students were there. I don't know. I just like that idea because it kind of mixes up like who's there and that's available that we can have conversations and interactions with. Because Scarlett's friend Paige was there, and everybody's friend Bones was also there. Bones being this literal skeleton who's a student in the school that somehow everybody is friends with.
Because Bones is the best. I love Bones. Bones is my favorite character ever, I think. So Bones is awesome. It's really funny because Bones is literally a skeleton. He can't actually talk, but we all know what he's trying to say. And because he's a really good listener, he's everyone's friend because he can't talk. But also he's actually Grimes' roommate that in the dorms, and Scarlett's boyfriend, canonically.
And like Arby's best friend, and helped out Artie when he was doing some alchemical research over the summer. Yeah,
it was Bones is just a good dude.
Just all around
a good dude.
So we ended up with some other students there. Apparently the Professor Axe Basher is required to give each encounter that's created in the Basher Dome some sort of backstory, so that they don't send students into just random events of violence.
To his dismay, like he's just like, just fight already.
Just get into it. So we were told that there's a creature who's been stealing things from a nearby city. So we hopped in, we discovered ourselves in this forest, and we saw this giant nest in a clearing. So some of us, I should say, slowly moved towards it. Arby climbed up in a tree to get a better look. Scarlet moved around to the other side. Artie got up real close. So I was like, I'll probably drink a potion that'll raise my AC. I'll be fine. I'll go right up next to the big nest and see if I can figure out what's inside it, because by this point we could tell there was some large mass inside it, but we couldn't tell what it was. And it was sort of a situation where I had a guess, especially hearing that it was making chirping and growling sounds.
At the same time, I was like, yo, classic. Knew exactly what it was. Yeah. Which, I mean, I was not to metagame or whatever, but because Grimes went last and everybody's already up there, he was like, lol, I guess I can start this fight because no one else is going to do it. But at that point, I Ramon as the character, as the player, knew what it was.
Mm.
So I was like, lol, no way I'm gonna go up there. Like,
Come on, man.
no, GG, man. It was a little crowded up there too, all right? There's a lot of trees in the way, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna chill back here. Like, don't worry. I'll be the ranged guy today.
Yeah, so we eventually, after Grimes threw a spear at it and woke it up, we discovered that we were in fact facing an owl bear. And then we swung into combat with RB leaping down, attempting to land a strike, but unfortunately the owl bear was able to grab RB. So we got some really bad rolls.
Yeah, grabbing RB is a common reoccurrence. I think he got grabbed like 3 times or something like that. Like, he was just basically being like manhandled by this owlbear for the entire fight, which was so funny.
Yeah, he certainly kept this thing's attention.
Yeah, it was basically like the thing was attacking RB, so like we all were basically still alive because RB, being the only straightforward melee fighter in the group, does have the highest AC and does have the highest amount of hit points. I know a couple of us could take some hits, but you know, it's just better that that RB takes it, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Like he can take those hits, he can heal himself, so
yeah,
let him do it for us. Yeah, Artie attempted to throw a bomb, and again, we're getting dead rolls, so completely whiffed it. I gotta learn my way around playing an alchemist a bit more.
Yeah, man, you're having a tough time.
I don't know what it is. I think I need to lean into the bombs a bit more, because I went into this wanting to do like this Jekyll and Hyde mutagen thing. So I was sort of banking on that, but the stuff that transforms me and gives me like these claws and jaws, it doesn't do a ton for my ability to attack with strength-based attacks. Like, I just get like a +1, which isn't terrible, especially in Pathfinder 2, but it's not like great still.
Yeah, well, because you didn't put anything into strength, right? So because you're playing the nurse, so it's like you're just kind of bad at it.
Yeah, I should have. I guess I wouldn't have known until I actually started to play and I see like how it works in combat.
Right.
So I got linked to the explosives a bit more, but yeah.
But you roll a lot of ones when you're Artheon or whatever, right?
That is actually true. I got like 3 or 4 ones in this combat alone.
Yeah, it's like every combat. Anytime we're trying to do something physical, it's just like the dice is like, lol, you're a nerd. Like,
not today.
Like, nice try, nerd. Like, go back to reading books. Like, it's so funny every time. Which is like, you know, the running joke. It's pretty good.
Basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're fighting this bear. RB escaped, but was kind of like ended up being grabbed again. I put myself where I could flank to hopefully help. Mm-hmm. I managed to get a stab in there, and that was nice. You got some fear cast on it. Scarlet was trying to charm the bear. So Scarlet was more focused on like getting the owl bear to move, because she, I guess, figured out that like all the stuff that it was stealing was sort of concealed within the nest underneath it. So we could just like, if we could get it to move, we could just get those things and get out of there. A lot of plans to do so kind of involved the owl bear's poop for some reason. Just
I don't know.
all over the place.
She was like, Abby was locked on that for some reason. I was like, we gotta use the poop. So I think she ended up like throwing poop at it, like its own poop at it, to get its attention to get out of the nest. Which was pretty
she
funny.
cast light on the owl bear's poop and used that as a distraction.
Which is super funny. Arbitraries just kept getting attacked, and like and Grimes did basically raid support. So I think he did like an enfeeble and he did a fear just to kind of get those, like, because the owlbear, when it first started its turn, did like a piercing scream and feared us. So like all of our rolls were already at like a -2 or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, I gotta even this out, right? Because it's like everyone, like a lot of people uses a lot of like saves and stuff like that, especially me and Scarlet. So it's like, if I can like get his abilities and stuff down, like maybe Arbitrarius can like get out of the grapple, at least even that out, so he has a better chance. And like, you know, Scarlet might be able to finally land like her charm, so she, or like, you know, she can move the bear out, the owlbear out. But like, I think it kind of worked. I did. I don't know. I did really well. All my abilities, I think, even though the owlbear did pass, I was able to put some sort of debuffs on it. And at one point, it was make or break, and RB actually got out of the grapple and was able to like make an attack or whatever. But then like he immediately just got grabbed again because it's an owlbear and we're only level 1.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, especially coming off of the last game that Tim ran where we ended up fighting an owlbear. We were like a few levels higher in that game, but we were in a pretty rough condition, so I was kind of nervous about it. So facing one even at full health at first level, I was like, I don't know if we got this, but I'm sure we're going to go for it because I want a good grade in this class.
Yeah, that was always the thing too. There's a lot of back and forth from like us and the teacher and stuff like that, giving like pointers or whatever, which is it was always pretty fun. I mean, there was like no danger because like obviously we're in a classroom setting, but we also don't want to like fail, right? But yeah, so I think you know, there was one point where Arbitrarius, because of like flanking and I think like enfeeblement, he was able to, or like fair or something like that, he was able to land a crit, like just about, or like he rolled a d20, he rolled a 20, a nat 20, right? Yeah, and he was able to land a crit, so that was a good amount of damage. And then Grimes was able to hit it with like a harm, and like Arby's like stabbed him with his knife one time, and then Scarlet just finally giving up with this charming thing, but able to use her poop technique to lure the owlbear out of the nest. She was able to finally like use her burning hands plus like a knife combo to like take the owlbear down, just like literally up until like 0 HP, just able to just like do just enough, which I thought was hilarious because, you know, most fights happen that way. Most fights it's always like, we really need you to like do damage, Scarlet. I think you're the only one that does damage. And like 3 turns in, I was trying a whole bunch of other stuff, and then she's like, "Oh, fine," and then just blows the thing up.
Yeah, which is very in character for Scarlet. Apparently.
Yeah, right. So it's funny. It's so funny. It's so on brand. I love it so much.
So yeah, Scarlet once again was able to land the final blow, and the professor assessed us, which I thought was a very interesting thing for them to do. I like that Rebecca was keeping track of what was going on and gave the professor things they could say. Like Artie showed spirit, but needed to work on his execution. Grimes had good tactics, but needed to be more of a team player.
Apparently.
RV, things were a little rough for him, but he kept going. And maybe he needs to use his shield a bit more. Scarlet was, of course, all positives. How she used the environment and had creative thinking and use of her spells and everything.
Oh, good. Grimes is so upset. Grimes, I like the idea that slowly Grimes is starting to care about school. He's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, like he's making RB like break more rules, but now he's caring more about school.
Yeah, he's like, you know, I think the whole group is starting to like we're really trying to meld to each other now, and it's like we're like, you know, like the seasons or like the show's progressing, right? Like everyone's learning a little bit from each other.
Yeah, we're all terrible influences for each other.
I mean, good influences. You know, I think Grimes is starting to figure out that he like is good at stuff. He's like, wait a minute, like I can solve problems. I don't have to always be the problem.
You can use your problem powers for good.
Yeah, I can use my problem powers for good.
And then yeah, the other students were gonna start fighting a frost giant, so we got off pretty lucky.
Yeah.
Since a frost giant is like twice the level of a owlbear, probably. But yeah, it was cool. We got to talk to them afterwards, and you know, we had a little bit of like goofing around, and there was some like talk about like what's going on with the school a little bit. Yeah, we tried to get some. Scarlet was talking to her friend Paige, who again was just randomly rolled to be in that class. I hope we get to do more of that. And she was just asking her questions about like what was stuff that was going on in the school. But Paige didn't really know too much about it, and mentioned a few things to her fellow students, like how Bones was watching us with interest when we were in the middle of this combat. Glad Bones is looking out for us.
Yeah, man. Wait, what if Bones is a secret bad guy? I hope not. I hope not.
Don't you dare.
I'll be so sad. Like,
Don't even
like,
put
Bones,
that out there.
You betrayed us. No. Yeah, I know. Now it's real. Like,
don't even think it. So, after that, we finally headed off to the library to do some research on this creature, meeting the librarian named Elsa, who is often tired because she also works as the archivist and is often busy with archiving. So of course, Artheon was like, "This is my dome now. This is my domain. This is where I rule."
This is the library dome or whatever.
So he cracked his knuckles and he got to research. He was just like grabbing all these books and shoving them into Arbitrarius's hands and just making like this giant stack. But of course, Scarlet, the actual problem solver of the group, instead decided to talk to the librarian directly. Ended up getting a book on like plants and stuff. While Grimes went and got a book on rats for some reason.
Well, it was like how to cook a rat or whatever, like 50 ways to cook a rat. Because now Grimes, I think in the original the original session we did, like ate like a rat swarm because he has like shadowy maw or something like that. It's like a focus spell where he just is able to just have this shadowy maw, and every time he bites something, he gains HP. So I was just like, yeah, I just ate a bunch of rats. So now he's like, I wanted to make this taste better. Like, he has a hankering for rats now. Once in a while.
Oh, so there was a reason for it. So yeah, I just added that onto the pile of books. And at this point, a couple more students entered the library, including Melody and Ian. Ian being the sort of more druidically skilled student who we spoke to after the combat in the garden. We caught up with him and asked for some advice. And he suggested that the creature was actually an ooze. And we had to get through some different books to get there. That had all sorts of different punny names. I'll throw them on screen. Although I was a big fan of Ooze Yourself, written by Flemin M.
That's so good.
I don't know why that really got me. But in the book, How to Ooze a Guy in 10 Days or whatever, we discovered information on a garden ooze. This dangerous, stealthy creature with whip-like appendages and acidic damage. But what was most important is that it suggested that while this creature can be used to take care of pests, it can also be like a pretty significant danger within a garden, and has been used to sabotage other gardens before. So the creature we fought there might not have just been like a random thing. Someone might have put it there maliciously with intent. So there's a bit of a mystery.
Ooh. So yeah, which was pretty cool because, again, like leaning into the idea that we're surrounded by these quirky NPCs who are really into other things or whatever, right? So, yeah. Oh, so I think we talked to the NPCs a little bit, and then afterwards we're like, oh, let's go and report back to our professor. I forget his name.
Professor Gary.
What's his name? So Professor Gary. Except immediately Scarlet is like, I have a date with Bones. Bye. No, she was the one that went to.
Yeah, she was planning to stop at the professor and then go on her date with Bones. Grimes and Arby were going to talk to the Leshy in the garden that we had met last session to see if they knew anything about someone who might have planted that creature. And Artie was going to go with Scarlet to talk to the professor, and then because I had to go get healer's tools, so I was going to do that in the school.
Yeah.
I don't know if I remember to do that.
I don't think so either. But Arby bailed as usual, so now it was just Grimes on the case. So I decided that Grimes is now Detective Grimes, and he puts on his detective hat. and detective coat, and he's in the noir now. So I can't tell if Grimes is just kind of goofing around. I think he's just goofing around, and that's just the way he like he can't just be serious about something. I think he just has to be kind of a goofball about it. So now he's Detective Grimes, and he was gonna go interrogate the Leshies. These poor little plant things.
Yeah, their leader was just killed by this ooze monster, and now you're shining a light in their face.
They can't even talk, so I was trying to shake them down and get them to like draw out the person, and then they ended up like drawing a picture of me, and I was like, no. which is super funny. Definitely I'm feeling like the comic relief guy in the show. But yeah,
again, just a troublemaker.
Yeah, totally.
So the rest of us, meanwhile, we spoke to Professor Gary, letting him know we discovered what the thing was. He congratulated us for our ingenuity or whatever. And he also sort of suspected that sabotage may be in play here. So this was the point where, because he had told us when we first spoke to him, not to get too deep into the headmistress's affairs, headmistress Celestia Ames. He said not to get too deep into her business, and then he again gave us that warning. So I was like, so you do want us to go in there? I think that was largely an arty thing. I think he was overthinking the statements. So, and I didn't think we would do it right away. I thought we would plan and figure it out. But we really jumped on that.
Yeah, like immediately. I thought it was gonna be like maybe we'll goof around a little bit and plan like a heist or something, right? Like we have to plan. Figure it out, right? But no, I like immediately. Everyone just started. I think. Yeah, at that point, Scarlet had left to go on her date with Bones, which is really funny because like Scarlet's always trying to go on a date with Bones and be romantic, but that never happens around here.
No time.
No time for that. So yeah, I think you RB and RT linked up with Grimes, who was just in the middle of doing this interrogation with this poor little Leshy. And then I think at that moment we all kind of saw Celestia Ains like hooded, a person who we believe it is. I'm not too sure. Detective Grimes is like, I don't know now. Suspicious. It turns out leave Kadfael and go into the forest.
Yeah,
that's nearby.
So we thought the office was, for the moment, unoccupied. Because we had seen her leave, or at least someone like her. So right. with a window of opportunity, we went to get Scarlet, who was out in like the courtyard. He just kind of like interrupt their date. RB puts his arms around Bones. We're like getting right in the middle of them.
Yeah. Which was super funny. We actually didn't want Scarlet. We just wanted Bones for some reason. Because we're like,
I don't know why we assumed he'd have some sort of skeleton key.
Because he was a skeleton, right?
Well,
this is like the logic we're trying to follow. Like this, we're just a bunch of shit teenagers like trying to figure this out. We're like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Like,
I mean, it's the exact kind of joke that would be on one of those Disney shows. So,
yeah, right.
So for sure, we recruited Scarlet and Bones to our endeavor. And then we headed to... So this was around the point where it started to click that, like, oh, I think you were ready for us to do this. It wasn't until I realized that she had a picture of the interior of the office that I realized, oh, you fully expected us to go here the entire time.
Yeah.
I
was going to say, like, definitely also just having, like, we have to bring it to the principal office, and then the principal just left. I was like, damn it. We gotta do it right now. Like, it's the perfect time, right?
Like, what a setup. I mean...
Yeah, thoroughly impressed.
You put the thing we wanted right in front of us. It gave us a clock. So, of course, we're going to jump on it.
Yeah.
So, we got to a hallway in front of the office, and we were going to sneak our way through. But it turns out the office had really good security in the form of a big mural with previous headmasters of the school. Barnabas, Phineas, and Nigel, these three guys, were all watching this hallway. We couldn't really sneak past them. But we were able to sort of like squeeze some information out of them at first. Particularly about the garden, which has apparently been around since the school's inception. Mm-hmm. There was some coercion involved, considering like if something happens to the school, then there's a question of like what'll happen to these guys who were painted on the wall at the school.
Yeah.
And they eventually allowed us, at the request of one of them who wanted to be, who had a mustache drawn on them at first by a certain someone.
Christ. Yeah, and they're like, no, instead of giving me a mustache, make me more metal. So then, we did.
That's what the kids are into these days.
Yeah, right. So I drew, we drew him like more metal, gave him like tattoos and a cool motorcycle and like just doodle all over this mural. And he was like, nice, thanks. Like, you can go past now, right? Kind of deal. But it was fun because, I got to be Detective Grimes and everybody was like, who the hell is this guy? Like,
yeah, where did this come from?
Which is so funny. All of a sudden, like, Grimes, why did you care so much about the school? But, Grimes just wants to be right, man.
Yeah. I like that. I like how he's like, because we saw that last episode with the stealing of the cookies and Grimes having to accuse his friend.
Yeah,
He couldn't be wrong. He was either that or be wrong.
Yeah, and Grimes could not be wrong. So now he's Detective Grimes.
You should multi-class into investigator.
Never. That class is the worst.
Nah, man. My next character in whatever game you run is going to be a Fey investigator.
Watch, everybody's going to be investigators. Everybody's going to be like, let me assess the situation. Like,
do some
no, I have a clue. Like, oh, man. But I think if anybody could pull it up, I think Rebecca might be able to handle having a investigator in their game. I just know, like, I can't. I can't do it. Like, just reading it, I'm like, nope, veto immediately. Banned. If you want to know the reasons why I banned investigator class, I'm pretty sure we have a podcast where I went into it a little bit. But yeah.
I will link it below if I remember what episode it is.
But that's the thing, right? It's just kind of it goes to show you that, like, you don't need like mechanics to be a good detective. You just have to have the noir attitude and like actually do a little critical thinking. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
You're not wrong. It's definitely very helpful in being a detective. You don't always need the mechanical boost, but sometimes it helps. It certainly will when I frustrate you with my investigator, whatever they end up being.
Damn it. Okay. So yeah, we got the go ahead, and turns out, I don't know, I just kicked open the door, but it was open the entire time, so he didn't actually need Bones and his skeleton key. So then he just kind of just chilled outside.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ruined a perfectly good date for no reason, but other than get Scarlet, like the actual other PC into whatever we're doing.
Just dragging them and getting them involved, and then like just as they're like in the middle of something, when you finally get the door open, you're just like, "Hey, Scarlet, we got the door. Let's go."
You start just yelling at them. Come on, it's fun. Like.
So we get into the office and we get shown this image of this 2-story office with a spiral staircase and bookshelves and desks and everything, specifying which desks had what information, which was again how much Rebecca prepares for these things. I thought I over-prepared sometimes, but I see that, I can do better to make these spaces feel more believable sometimes. Mm-hmm. Make it less obvious that I'm flailing on the other side of the screen.
Yeah. Just, like a picture says 1,000 words.
Really
right. Yeah.
So yeah, we sat in there and started doing some investigations. doing some real detective work. We saw a photo with two women, one very pretty, one a bit more awkward looking, which might be important later. A list of important investors for the school, including this Arlen Crane guy, who we had seen last session speaking with Ames and mentioned that they were going to be family soon. And we discovered what that meant because we found a wedding invitation for a wedding between Arlen Crane and Tara Ames, Celestia Ames' sister. Then at which point I noticed the difference of Celestia being the, I guess, prettier, more outgoing sister, and Tara being more withdrawn and plain looking. Celestia and Tara, space and Earth, I guess. That's what apparently she was going for.
Which is pretty cool. They're sisters, but very much the opposites of each other.
Yeah.
From what I'm picking up.
That seems to be the case.
Yeah, which was funny too because we're like, oh, this like the picture of the two. We didn't even put those two together yet. So it's like we saw like the picture of the two young women and realized that we immediately thought like, oh, these must be Celestia Ains' daughters or something like that, right? And I was like, oh, wait, that must be Tara Ains, and she's like, wait. She's gonna marry that old guy. Immediately, we're like, no, they're gonna marry that old guy. He's like 30. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah, because he's just teenagers, so he must be 30. He's terribly old.
He's so old, right? Like
way too old for her.
Which is super funny. But yeah, so Grimes and our Arbitrarius decided to investigate upstairs, and always if there's a place to go, there's always a race between those two boys. But Arbitrarius got there first and was trying to look around and immediately just found Ains' underwear and was like, nope, I'm done. Just like got all embarrassed and just walked back downstairs. And then yeah, which then Grimes is like, oh yeah, I'll be a real detective. I'll show you. And rolled perception, immediately found the underwear, and immediately just went back downstairs.
Yeah, somehow you both ran into that.
Yeah, right. Which was a fairly comedic moment for a bunch of teenage boys. But yeah, eventually I think it was Artheon, your character, got upstairs with us, and turns out Celestia Ains was like outside on her balcony, just like talking on her magic phone. Yeah,
in the middle of a conversation. I think it was Scarlet and Artie who were up there listening to it. Or Scarlet was maybe aware. No, it wasn't because
no, it was Grimes.
Yeah,
it was Grimes. Yeah, I got Artie.
Grabbed Artie on the way out, but yeah, we were up there, and Celestia was in the middle of a conversation, and so like we're getting into a bit of a mystery now that we're learning more details. Celestia was in the middle of a conversation. She was worried that Tara was rushing into marriage with Arlen, who also supports the school. Celestia also mentioned that she wasn't feeling like herself, and she was drinking some tea that Tara gave her. And was also a little surprised by the invite because, again, it seemed so soon. And then at that moment, she like hung up her call, and it sounded like she was going to be walking into her office at any second. So then we just had like this mad scramble out of the room.
everybody just yelled "cheese it," and everybody ran out the room. But we were able to swipe a teacup, a used teacup, so we can send it to forensics to analyze, which is basically give it to our alchemist friend to do some science upon. Like,
and I'm sure there will be consequences for a missing teacup from the headmistress's office.
I mean, also the graffiti on the mural, and also like someone from, I don't know if anyone closed the door on the way out. Like we just all ran out.
Did we close the drawer that was open?
I don't know.
Ooh boy.
We definitely cheesed that one up, man. Like,
but you didn't see us, so.
Yeah, right. Of course. And our man won't rat us out.
Yeah, as long as those paintings shut their mouths. So yeah, we got a bit of a mystery going on because it sounds like someone may be purposely sabotaging the school. Because at first it just seemed like the school was just losing funding because that was just a thing that was kind of happening. Like that was just like life happens apparently. But someone might be purposely trying to harm the school, and why? Who knows? I have some suspicions.
Yeah, and the fact that like we saw the principal leave the school grounds, and then she was still on her balcony. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I guess she might be a wizard or something that could fly or whatever. But like, I was like, that's kind of sus. You know what I mean? So who knows what's happening? Now we know that there's a sister involved. Maybe she's the culprit. I don't know. I want to know. So I'm excited for more.
Why? Who has to gain from Kadfael shutting down?
That's what we want to know. We haven't figured that out yet. Also, we're a bunch of teenagers who really probably shouldn't be handling this.
Which is exactly why we are.
Oh yeah, which is exactly why we're the right people to handle it. No one will suspect us.
Yeah, so, I am very excited to see what comes next in this game. Just because now it includes a mystery. Oh man, I don't know, because like I'm just thinking like next time we hop in there, we might be in some other class with some other random sort of students. So who knows what sort of interactions that'll include. But now we have this mystery to solve. We've got some clues that we need to piece together, like what's their relation? What does it all mean when you put all the pieces together? I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, man, like again, it's super fun playing this game. It's kind of nice to like not be playing like standard adventurers, but we're like, you know, shithead adventure teenagers going to school. So you know the stakes are really low, but still like important to us. And we get to kind of be goofy characters without like, you know, having too many responsibilities on us. So it's just kind of nice.
Yeah, it's just like again, like I love when different people run games, because everybody's game has such a different flair to it, and this one just having that like it's the setting that really makes it. It's such a unique setting, at least compared to other things that I've been in.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's super unique, and also pretty fun. The group is really fun to be playing. Playing this funny adventuring academy teenage kind of movie, which is pretty cool. I'm excited for like the school dance whenever that happens. That'll be pretty fun to do, the school dance episode. Maybe a field trip. We haven't done a field trip session yet. That would be pretty funny. There's definitely still a lot of meet cute moments out there, so yeah. I want to hit
all the like high school comedy story tropes with these characters.
For sure. All the misunderstandings and like all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, no, we do a beach episode. Hope that the field trip episode is the beach episode.
You and your beach episodes.
So we're like on an island.
Yeah, yes we are.
Yeah, we should just have a field trip to the beach. It should be like the senior beach trip, and that would be like and it's like, oh, the senior beach trip might be canceled because we don't have enough money. Ah, damn it.
We gotta save
now
the beach
I'm sad.
trip.
We gotta save the beach trip. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. I'm just a big fan of taking characters like out of the normal context that they are, and let them just kind of do something new and like goof off a little bit. So I mean, you know, arguably we're still kind of goofing off in general because we're just playing a bunch of teenagers or whatever, but like it's kind of fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it makes it for a fun diversion in a game. Like in the Mutants and Mastermind stream that I've been on for the past few months, we did have a bit of a diversion a while back where we all kind of got teleported into like these alternate TV dimensions. And it was really fun to just like hop between different characters, sometimes in the same session being like 3 or 4 different people. It was just sort of a great way to like change up the pace of the game a bit. And we also had a thing where we briefly went into the afterlife, so we were playing dead characters, and I feel like mine kind of messed up the timeline a bit, but
Oh.
because most of the other players were playing characters who had died in like Golden Age and Silver Age comic era stories, and
Right.
mine was from like this future story.
So they're like, wait a minute, why are you dead? You're like, oh no. So like the whoever plays that character might just be like, oh damn, I have to die now. Bye. So this so it all makes sense.
Yeah,
but
so
hey,
I don't
mean,
know what like alternate timeline he might be from, but I don't know. It was just fun to like change things up for a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, fun game. Excited to get back to it. I'm looking forward to like solving this mystery, whatever it is. I really want to know.
Yeah, for sure. And I know I'm excited to see it because I know I'm not very good at mysteries at all. I'm not. It's not a strong point in my DMing career. So it's like I wanna experience more of them so I can try and see if I can pull one off one of these days. But yeah, mysteries are hard for me.
Well, we could always like. I guess we can talk about mysteries for a bit because I talked way too fast. I think about this game. The thing for me with the mystery, because like again, the first time I ran one, that was back when I was mostly borrowing elements from other like pre-made games. So I had this one particular thing that I found, and it was like this murder mystery, and it had like a timer on it where things would happen over a series of days. So I kind of took that, and I just had to adjust some things and change some names to put it into, you know, the place that I wanted it in, like a setting that I already had. I just had to like put some people's names in of people who already existed and who I could afford to lose as they became murder victims. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Totally. And like, I probably should just start with something pre-made and run through that and like fit it into the story. So then, you know, I can just learn. For sure something I could do.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's just not the style of game that I run a very loose game. I don't really have a lot of plans beforehand. I kind of just have some ideas of where like things are gonna go, and then I kind of just work off the cuff for like the pirate game. So that's the one I think we're playing the most. Inyan's like still on hiatus until we start playing it again. But yeah, you know, it's tough for a GM who doesn't really prepare anything to just prepare stuff like a mystery.
Yeah, mysteries are like very I mean, I kind of say they're prep heavy, but I did have to like flub one a bit. Although I did have some notes to fall back on for it. At one point where some characters were suspicious of this little girl they found in the woods who turned out to be a vampire. I had some like notes and stuff from moments past that could like clue into that. But yeah, for mysteries, like what I would think is, or at least what I would do rather, is that I would have the list of clues that support the conclusion that I want to draw people to. And you have to have like multiple ones because you don't know if people aren't going to go to a certain place or if they're not going to discover a certain thing. Certainly for mysteries at least, when you have people rolling perception checks, you're probably going to be in a situation where it's like, I know you made a low roll, but you need to know this thing. So, like, here's the information, but it takes you a bit longer to figure out. So that's maybe a consequence that will come up later down the line. You know, rather than like, well, you don't find this thing at all, so maybe this mystery doesn't get solved. Which is also an acceptable outcome. It's just not a satisfying one.
Yeah, exactly, right. And it's like, if like the fun of it is solving the mystery, but like maybe you're not Sherlock Holmes in it enough, so like more people die than you could be. I know that a lot of games also follow, like, they use clocks, right? Clocks is a good representation of like, you know, the like one, like it's like the longer you take to solve the mystery, the more likely the killer's gonna strike again or whatever's gonna happen. So it's like you could have a clock set up where like every time the clock goes to like 0 or whatever, it'll start back, but someone dies, right? You don't know who. So then it's always like, oh, the pressure is on, right? Like we need to gotta find it because we don't want to keep losing people.
Yeah. I mean, like benefit, like for me, that's one of the benefits of running a game with the calendar. I think definitely that game helped solidify the need for a calendar in my game, because it was like, okay, another character is going to die on day 3 of this adventure, and another one on 4 or 5 or whatever. So like I have those days that I can track, so I have that clock that I can track, and it helps, establish a timeline, establish consequence, and things like that. Of course, in a mystery, you also want to have your red herrings, which might also be difficult or dangerous to do, because it's like the last time I did a mystery, I had a red herring character in there, and the thing that sort of like threw suspicion off of them was, I mean, it just kind of required like a really good perception check to notice.
Yeah.
So they weren't too distracting. I think it still all turned out well. They had a fun chase scene with the actual culprit at the end and the combat and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of wish the red herring was a bit more, lasted a bit longer, and was a bit harder to figure out. That's something that I want to work on in the future if I put another mystery in front of people.
I mean, go for it, man. I mean, I'm surprised. Like, I literally have not been successful with any mystery, so I can't tell if it's just because I'm like I'm just like so much of a shonen battle bro. Like, so I'm like, yes, I've like cornered the market on tactical combat. So like, and it's like, that's just like, if it was like those stat bars of like what a GM is good at, it's like my improv and tactical combat bars are like maxed out, but everywhere else is like super low. Like,
I don't know about super low, but yeah, that's definitely in your games. I think about tactics in combat more, because I know you have the experience to like mess me up if I do something incorrect.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit more concerned about that sort of thing. But I mean, that's another particular topic we could cover, like what people feel like they're good at as a GM. If you're listening to this, maybe drop a comment below about what you think your GM main skill is. Because apparently, I've been told that I'm good at voices and characters, which is great for me, because that's kind of my favorite thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, actually, it'd be kind of cool to pull a little rubric together and just be like, have like stats. So like, what do you think your GM is good at, or whatever, right? And you could give them ratings. It'd be pretty funny.
Maybe. I don't know if people want to see that from their groups, but maybe.
I got like S rank in tactical combat, but I'm like D rank in like voices, because I only have like 3 voices.
Yeah, voices are, gosh, that Irish voice, I hope I don't have to do that again for a bit. But I mean, with voices, it's like, oh, this feels like a tangent, but with voices, it's like, what can help a lot is just something like pitch. Pitch and pacing alone can really help with the voice, because Artie's voice is kind of basically just mine, but like pitched up a bit with more stuttering.
Yeah. You also do talk faster when you're Artie.
Yeah.
Which is like pretty good, because I guess he's just like trying to get as much out of his mouth as fast as possible.
I'm sort of channeling the idea that like he has so many things going on in his head, and he has to try to get the words out before he loses it. So yeah, just like how fast you talk, how high or low, just like slight affectations, like so that you don't have to do an accent. I think a lot of people, when you say voice, especially in an RPG space, when you say doing a voice, they kind of assume you mean doing some sort of accent, like, oh, I'm a knight, and I have a sword, and I'll swing it, and I'll strike you down, and all that sort of thing. But, like, you don't have to do that. Like, just speak different. I feel like speak differently is oversimplifying it, but it's kind of
just
simple.
Get good, Calvin's trying to tell you.
Be better.
Just get good. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying, where it's like, you can just talk really slowly like this, or you can talk really fast like this, right? With a deeper voice, but like with different pacing. Like, you can really change the dynamic of like what a character feels like, right? Like if a character doesn't care, they would probably be like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like you could definitely do that, and that's not even like an accent or a change of voice. It's just like they're putting out a different like sort of emotion with how they speak.
Yeah. I don't know. I can only do like crazy people voices. Like it's always like the humanoid monster voices, right? I do a really good witch impression,
Yeah,
which is probably why I like running them, because they're so fun. You're gonna be like, hello, my dear. You know what I mean? Like, would you like some eyeballs or something like that, right? You like say weird shit like that, and everyone be like, yeah, that's right.
I miss your French accent, man. When are we gonna get that back?
Misty. It's because our resident Frenchman hasn't made an appearance yet, so I haven't had a chance to work on it, right? So it's like, but I'll bring it back. My really bad French Canadian accent, my French Canadian voice, Misty.
I mean,
I love you.
When it comes down to it, like, even if you want to do an accent and you think it sounds bad, just consider the fact that you're playing in a fictional world. So that's just what people from there sound like.
Exactly, right? Like, who cares? Your players will appreciate the effort, and it doesn't matter if you're like S-rank voice actor or whatever. Like, it's all in the spirit of fun and games, right? So give it a shot. I think, yeah, and if you need to, like, it also helps to like get physical too. So like I think one time I was doing like the Goblin. There's like a song that the goblins sing in Rise of the Rune Lords when they attack Sandpoint. And so I had decided that I was gonna sing it. So then I like hunched up in the chair and like pulled up my shirt and I was like, ah! And then I just started singing this song, which is so awesome. Everybody loved it, and so it was fun. So get physical if you're like trying to like be a giant or something like that. Just like stand up and like make everybody look up to you, right? That might be something you could do.
Yeah.
That kind of deal. So yeah, it's definitely, and it can help you get into like the headspace, right? Like looking down at people could give you like a sense of like more like authority or something like that. So you can definitely play around with that. And I'm sure this is just like for like basic like screen like a screen.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Like it is kind of like very basic improv stuff, but like it's still useful tips. Especially if you need to come up with a voice on the fly. Like you don't have to like reach into your accent bank. Just like speak a bit lower.
Yeah.
Or do some singing. You just reminded me of a time that I had to sing as a DM because it was when the characters were on a ship just getting transported, and I had described it was on Helen's ship, and I described the crew as just like doing some sea shanties and stuff, and I felt peer pressure because the players wanted to hear it, so I was like, okay. And then there was this one pirate metal band that I was really into at the time, so I just did a chorus from one of those songs.
Nice.
So it's a highlight of that game.
Yeah. Don't just secret last minute GM tip of the week. The second secret last GM tip of the week. Get a little goofy. You totally are. You can embarrass yourself in front of your players, and they will usually love you for it, right? Even if it's like a little cringy, I think everybody will get a kick out of it. And they'll just be like, yeah, man, that was awesome. Like,
yeah, I think that's just more fun to be loose with it, to have that, because I mean, otherwise you're just rolling a dice and adding some numbers. Yeah,
for sure.
There was sort of a discussion I had seen on Twitter the other day, and maybe we could save this for a topic, but that was one of the things that I kind of took issue with what some people were saying. About this particular thing, and how a player made a decision and it ended up being like an instant kill for them, and people were saying, well, that should have been obvious, and some people were saying, well, that depends on the game and stuff like that. And I don't know, there was a lot of people who seemed like they were annoyed that tabletop RPGs and more decent D&D more specifically, at least recently, has had more emphasis on like the narrative stuff more so than the RP part instead of the G part. And I was kind of like, well, otherwise it's just like war gaming without flavor. Like,
that's fair. And like as an avid like tactical, combat person. I do appreciate the game-ness of stuff, but I definitely think that it comes to a lot of issues with like having such a legacy system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like not having like I would say modern tabletop RPG ideas where it's like you can just be knocked out instead of dying, right? Like why is it always have to be about death? Or like instead of it being like in a narrative situation you can lose hit points or something like that, it's like maybe it could have just been like you get like a negative, like a burden. Like I do like the system, I think it's from Blaze of the Dark, where like it's like the burden system, where it's like you like if you lost a fight in narrative, you don't like lose HP or whatever, you just gain a burden where it's like maybe you lost an eye or you hurt your hand or something like that, right? So it's like you something negative could happen to you, and you can carry that burden with you, and eventually you'll get used to it, so eventually it'll go away, right? So it's like it brings like more character. Like if you lose, right, you can still like develop your character more, and it adds like, it's the idea of like scars, right? So you can pile on scars and make your character super unique because of the burdens you have. Yeah, that kind of deal. But yeah, totally, we could probably unpack this more about the RP versus the G, you know what I mean? Like
yeah, it was a little off topic for the discussion, but it was something that came up, and it was a whole thread that I was looking at, and I was like, it was just one of those like get off my lawn kind of people.
You damn kids and your RPs.
Exactly.
Back in my day, we had 2 armor classes. You had to do trigonometry.
Back in my day, it was math, and that was it. But yeah, that could be a topic all on its own.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, maybe we will do that. Maybe next episode or some other down the line. But it would be cool to unpack the RP versus the G. But yeah.
Yeah, or even if they can support each other.
Totally.
And if you want to hear that discussion, you can, of course, subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you get a notification when we upload new episodes or when we go live. Speaking of, been doing weekly gaming live streams, which I've been having a whole lot of fun with. Mostly playing Skyrim. Did some Outer Worlds last week, sort of accidentally, because Skyrim wasn't working. But I got it fixed and it's working now. I had a lot of fun last stream. I do want to make Outer Worlds a regular thing. I'm kind of thinking Thursdays for it. But stay tuned. We'll figure that out. I just don't want to overlap with like other stuff. So yep.
That's pretty intense. Calvin's really susceptible to peer pressure, so please let us know in the comments what you want. If you need Calvin to stream twice a week, you tell him.
Yeah, like I because when Critical Role started, I was like, yeah, I can watch some of it live on Thursdays, but then I don't know, I can stream instead. That's fine. I'll just watch it later. So yeah, maybe Outer Worlds will be a Thursday game, Skyrim on Friday, and I'll see about simultaneously streaming to Twitch and YouTube, because that's a thing I think I can do. Really? I don't know if that'll bring in some new people. We'll give it a try. We'll see where things end up landing this week.
Okay, cool.
So of course, if you want to see all of that, just be sure to, again, hit the sub button. Of course, follow us on Twitter. That's where I'll post all the announcements of like when we're going live and when new episodes are going up and everything like that, as well as what's been going on with the channel. I do want to give some shout outs, of course, first up to Shaka's Field Guide to Unfukane, a awesome Lancer setting on itch.io that you can get. You can get the PDF and it sort of explains the setting, which I think is really interesting. It adds a lot of flavor to the game. And you can also get an LCP file to put into your CompCon so you can add more mechs to your game. As well, Celeste's Lancer RPG NPC guides, which would be great for new GMs to Lancer. You can use those to figure out how to like put certain types of NPCs together or focus on certain ones and what their strengths are. Also, shout out to the Untold Stories project, where I am at every week playing Mutants and Masterminds. I'm going to be doing some other stuff there in next month that I don't know if they announce, so I will not be rude and announce it here. But yeah, I'm very excited to get back to the game. God, I the last episode of our Mutants and Masterminds game, we sort of returned back to Freedom City after a brief detour in Emerald City, and we returned to find one of our players, his boyfriend, was kidnapped, most likely by his father, who was recently released from hell in return for some assistance with dealing with a evil triple wizard, which is you kind of have to watch the story to know why that makes sense.
It's so like, it's so comic books. It's so ridiculous. Like,
it really is.
Three times the wizard. Damn.
But things get worse because after we discovered that person was kidnapped, someone else from another person's like home, well, not home planet, but home dimension, had arrived saying that their dimension was going to be taken over by that character's uncle who had gone mad with power, and they needed our help. So of course we were all going to, there's two crises going on. So we were going to do a bit of magic that would let us be in two places at once, using some of these magic shards that had come up before and are basically 0 for 2 as far as helpfulness goes at that point. But we were like, let's use these to duplicate ourselves.
Nice.
So we did that, and of course, so now we have one team of the heroes, and then we had a second team of the heroes, with an unfortunate complication of all of our bodies being swapped. So one team is the regular heroes, and one team is the heroes, but not in the same bodies that they're used to.
That's really funny.
And,
okay.
We ended up mixing things up more because people wanted to focus on like their specific crises. So you couldn't just divide normally, because we had to have like the person in their regular body, one to the home dimension, one to rescue their boyfriend. So we had to figure that out. But yeah, we're dealing with that. Also time travel in a bit. So it's very comic booky. If you want to check out that game, it's so much fun.
And these little snippets always intrigue me. I'm always like, damn, this sounds like a really, really fun campaign.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. Alex is a great GM. He's really great at taking these backstory elements and weaving them back in ways that are more complicated than you can imagine.
Nice.
And yeah, they also have another new campaign that just started there recently. If you don't want to watch all like 60 whatever episodes of the stream that we've done so far, I don't know how many there's been, 30 something, I don't know, a lot. Speaking of which, we passed episode 69 the other day. We didn't say anything about it.
Oh yeah. That was our bad. It was nice. Damn it.
But I think that's it for this week.
Yeah, I think so too. But Calvin, do the thing for the people.
Gotta give the people what they want and remind them all to keep winning with nice.
All right, thanks guys.
Nah, keep winning with dice. That's what you do. Oh man, I guess we'll see you next week.
Okay, bye guys.